What do you mean we have to wait till 2019 or whatever the hell it is for another Game of Thrones episode? What are they trying to do to us? Make us crazy?
Yes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And yes, the finale of Game of Thrones was last night. And yes, we have to wait till 2019. They haven't said when in 2019, too. So it could be like, December.
It better not be.
Might throw some things at the TV kind of thing. There's a whole bunch of fan theories. We won't spoil it here, but there's a whole bunch of fan theories all over the internet. And it's been 24 hours.
Yeah.
I was told there was no math in this show. Only a few things to talk about this week. We're kind of in that lull of the entertainment world, the pop culture geek kind of world. We've had Comic-Con, we've had E3. Just had a big gaming expo in Europe, which really didn't show anything new. There's kind of the lull before the Oscar stuff kind of starts coming and the movie stuff. TV doesn't start until October. So we can talk about football, preseason football, or we can
Fake it
the best we can. So a couple things that we want to talk about this week. First is the really big story that's kind of been floating around for about a week or so now. Is DC is in development of doing a Joker origin story. Now, it's reported by Deadline that Warner Brothers and DC are working on it right now. And they want to do it kind of expanding the Batman universe.
Right.
Now, what they have said is they don't want to use Jared Leto's Joker.
Right.
They kind of want to do not an origin story like how he was as a kid kind of origin story. More of how he kind of became more of the villain kind of thing.
Okay.
Like an 80s noir. Well, they're already talking about doing that with the Batman stuff, but kind of the 80s gangster head of the mob kind of thing in the 80s kind of thing.
Okay.
Which would make sense with the Batman stuff.
Yep.
Which would make a lot of sense with that. And they are talking about doing some other Joker-based movies with Jared Leto. He will be coming back for Suicide Squad 2, and he will be coming back in the Harley Quinn Joker spinoff, which is going to be really weird how they're going to handle that. Because it's a highly abusive relationship.
But it's abusive on both sides, so...
It is abusive on both sides, but the current politically correct climate of the world are going to have a hissy fit with that movie. Am I right?
Maybe it's okay. If brother and sister can sleep together and aunt and nephew can sleep together, then
it's fine, right?
Yeah,
right.
They can be in a mutually abusive relationship.
So the talk is that Todd Phillips is going to co-write the script with Scott Silver. Now, Todd Phillips did The Hangover and War Dogs. War Dogs, we just watched it a couple of weeks ago. It's really, really good. It's better than it should have been. And the first Hangover is amazing. We've never seen the third one because the second one I cried myself to sleep. It was so bad. But 1.5 maybe out of 3. I mean, that's Hall of Fame numbers. But they're going to get together and write the script, and then Todd Phillips is going to direct it. And then some guy, I've never heard of him before, Martin Scorsese. Martin Scorsese. See, I can't even say his name. I've been messing up. Scorsese wants to produce the movie. Now, there's been a lot of talk about this. I've actually been talking about it online with some other people. And I don't want to see an origin story for Joker.
Right, because the in the Christian Bale Batman, part of the allure or whatever of Heath Ledger's Joker
Right.
is that he changes the story every time he tells
Right.
it, and you never know, what the truth is. For all you know, he was, probably not born that way, but it was some car accident or,
Right.
something very
Right.
undramatic. I mean, you just don't know, and that's what makes it good, I guess.
It makes them not knowing the villains, not knowing the bad guys, where they came from and stuff like that, makes them scarier.
Right, because then you just feel sorry for him, right? I mean, if he was abused or whatever, then you're just like, oh, poor
Right.
baby. Or
Jason Jason and Freddy. I don't need
Yeah.
origin stories for them.
Yeah.
Aliens, it kind of works. But the only one that I can really think of that actually the origin story of a bad guy where you actually feel for him and understand who he is and how he got to his point, but still fear him, is Vader. The prequel is the backstory of the origin story for Vader.
yeah, well,
and then you have all the comics and all the books and everything like that too. But
I mean, there is precedence already in the Batman series with the Penguin, right? You kind of feel sorry for him,
right,
Cumberpot.
right. But and you have that origin story in Gotham for Cobblepot too.
Cobblepot, yeah.
So, I mean, they but this one is one of those ones where I can't. I'm having a hard time getting excited about it or getting my brain wrapped around A, why they would do this, and B, if it makes any sense.
Right.
And part of my part of why are they doing this is, so Man of Steel was good but not great. BVS was, I've said this before, I've gotten to appreciate it, and it made a lot of money, but not very well received by critics
the director's
and fans.
cut was much better.
Yes. Suicide Squad was a dumpster fire from jump. The idea they had there was great, but not executed right because there was 7,000 fingers in the pie.
Right.
And then they kept trying to cut that pie smaller and smaller and smaller. But they knocked it out of the park by letting Patty Jenkins do her movie for Wonder Woman.
Right.
And now we've talked about this a lot in the past with DC and how they seem rudderless on what they want to do. They're very reactionary of what a lot of the decisions they're making.
Yeah, and the fact that they're just at this point, and this is kind of how we felt last week when all of this stuff was breaking, and every day there's a new Joker movie coming out. Like literally last week, it was like every day there's a new Joker
Monday
movie.
It's the origin story, and Tuesday it's one about his girlfriend, and
Yeah.
Thursday it was the Suicide Squad, and it's like, oh, Jesus, okay.
Yeah, but it really did feel like they were just blah, just throwing it all out there, and whoa.
I listened and read a lot about this particular subject last week because I was trying to get a temperature on what DC is thinking. Yeah. And
good luck.
And it's trying to read tarot cards upside down, sideways in a hurricane. What I get from what everybody is saying is that it looks like what they're doing is throwing everything out there, getting the temperature of the fans, and then seeing what happens. And that's just a shitty way of doing it.
Yeah.
What you need is creative people with good storytelling and good scripts to put out good stuff, and let them do that. Don't get in there and start messing with it. Martin Scorsese wants to come in and be a producer on this movie. Todd Phillips wants to come in and help write and produce and direct this movie. These people are established people who have had huge hits. I mean, Martin Scorsese is, there's a short list of best directors of all time, and he's probably at the top of it. And so if those people want to come in...
But he's producer, not director.
That's true, but he still will have his fingers in it. It's like Ridley Scott having his fingers in Blade Runner 2049. He's got his fingers. He's a producer on that, but he didn't direct it. Denis Villeneuve is doing it.
Yeah.
But you can see his storytelling elements in there and stuff like that. And so if these kind of people want to get together and do this movie, then I'm going to be excited about it. But I want DC to just
I think they're going to
plays off.
I think they're just going to stab themselves in the foot because, there's already like people are starting to wonder if there's, what were they calling it? Comic book overload. Where there's just too much stuff out there, and unless it's out of the park, nobody goes to see it, and I think that they're just gonna. I mean, if they flood the market with Batman, Joker, Suicide Squad, I don't think they're gonna do any more of the. Justice League, right? Or
Aquaman's coming out.
But then, they've got
Justice League 2, but that's it.
Are they doing a Justice League 2?
And then, and the other thing that's kind of hanging over all of this, everything that ever happens in the DC movie universe, everything has Flashpoint hanging over it.
Right.
Everything can be fixed or redone or remade or whatever with Flashpoint.
Right. So then,
and they've already announced they're going to do Flashpoint. They didn't say when, but they did say they're going to do Flashpoint.
I honestly, I'm more interested in this, kind of noir angle that they're taking. If they kind of just let the Justice League, Aquaman, let that stuff just kind of run its course and die out, not do a Justice League 2, not do a Aquaman 2, okay, they're going to do another Wonder Woman because, it made
$800 million
$1
so far, yeah.
Yeah, maybe do, one more or maybe two more Wonder Woman and kind of wrap up the whole Batman, Superman storyline, right? And finish that and move off in this other direction. It sounds more interesting to me. Like, because what we were talking about is that you can take the Joker and not an origin, not, I was born a
poor white child,
poor black child or whatever, but more the origin of how he became, the biggest villain in Gotham,
right?
His and the crime boss, the whole I can't remember the name of the crime boss.
Gambino.
But anyway, the crime boss family or whatever in the crime family in Gotham, with this 80s Batman kind of thrown in there. I think that would be interesting and new and fresh and stop trying to be Marvel because, like I said, I think I said this a couple months ago, Marvel's almost to the beaten that dead horse done. And now DC's like running to catch up. Well, there's nothing left for them to grab because Marvel's done it all and people are like, I'm done with this. So I kind of like this other direction.
And I like the other thing I do like is that they talked about with this origin story for the Joker, they're going to have a different actor to play him, and the idea of doing these kind of one-offs like the comics were.
Yeah.
The main storyline happens on one comics, but you have all these different comics, and you have the Frank Miller Batman, and you have Year One, and you have all these different things that go on, and they're just one-off storylines of the Batman character, and so you can get a kind of a different version of the Batman or a different version of the Joker, or you do an alternate universe where Bruce is the one that dies and not his parents, and his parents become, Batman and the Joker. If you want to do that angle and go that way, that would be awesome.
Yeah,
because that's a different storytelling trope that Marvel's not doing.
Right.
Marvel's got this continuous storyline, and it plugs in each character as it goes along, which works. That's fine. I love it, but if DC tries to come in and do that, it's not obviously not working. But if you do these kind of one-offs, kind of what the X-Men universe kind of does with Sony, they kind of do their one-offs, but there are some connective tissue in it. Just the timeline kind of does this kind of thing. So there's been a lot of talk about it over last week, and it kind of died down towards the end of the week. But there's still a lot of question marks of what's going to happen
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
And so,
Crazy.
talking about more comic book stuff. We got the Guardians of the Galaxy DVD. Actually, we got the digital download a couple weeks ago
Because we couldn't wait.
because we couldn't wait because it's probably my favorite movie of the year. But we've talked about the movie a bazillion times. I am Groot. But the DVD itself was actually the extras was actually really, really good.
That was a lot.
There was the movie's 2 hours and 15 minutes or whatever, and I think there was 2.5 hours worth of extras.
Extras, yeah.
And they have a really good outtakes. Not a blooper reel, but just outtakes from filming and stuff. It was really good. It's like 4 or 5 minutes. They spent a lot of time talking about the music and how James Gunn built the music and how he built scenes. He actually picked the songs and then
Built
built the
scenes
scenes around
yeah.
it and stuff like that. And then adding the score in behind it in the other parts of this. They also did a whole bunch of stuff spotlighting the cast and James Gunn and all that stuff.
And a lot of the special effects.
Right. So the biggest thing that I really liked was they had 3 different storyboard, I want to say explanations. It's best way to
Progressions.
Yeah, that's a better way of putting it.
How
Probably.
it from start to finish.
Yeah, and so they showed James Gunn kind of did this commentary, and he showed like his crude stick figure drawings
Yeah.
of the scene, and they kind of would play the scene with those storyboards, and then they have a storyboard company come in and kind of do a rude rendering.
Actually, I think it was his crew that did the next one.
Yeah.
So it was
yeah.
pretty basic, but not stick figure.
Right.
Like at least it looked a little more.
And it was not animated. It was just it was drawn, but
Yeah.
it was not animated.
And then I think they brought the company in
Right.
for the much more polished.
Right, and they started
storyboard.
they started doing but it's still like it's like 32-bit. Like it's not like completely done. There was this
Yeah.
storyboard, but it was animated, but it was like very jerky and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then they went in and they showed how they filmed the physical stuff, because there's a lot of physical stuff.
Yeah.
And then they went in and showed how they overlaid the digital stuff and how they had to overlay the different layers between the different things, and then how they came in and finished the CGI effects
Yeah.
and then showed the final scene. And they did that 3 times. And the first one they showed, the second two I don't remember because I was getting a little cross-eyed by that point in time. But the first one was the when the Ravengers show up to and Rocket's fixing the ship.
Yeah.
And they showed that whole thing. It's like a 20-minute thing. Really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Like, I love that stuff. And so how they put it all together.
It was cool too because that one had Rocket in it, and Rocket obviously is not. Rocket and Groot aren't.
What?
I know. Burst your bubble.
It's real to me, goddammit.
They're not real, but there has to be somebody there for the actors or something there for the actors to play towards. And since it was Baby Groot in this one, not as much Groot action, big Groot action. So and if you remember the scene, Rocket's like jumping from tree to tree, and then he has a fight scene where they're all like surrounding him, and kind of they use some pretty rudimentary. It was like a stuffed animal or something, like a raccoon.
On a stick.
On a stick,
just
and
kind of moving them around and kind of stuff. They had this doll company make an actual life-size Baby Groot. And and they made it so he was actually attached to a stick, so they could actually show in the scenes where Baby Groot would be standing and stuff like that, moving around. Really cool.
Yeah.
DVD is absolutely worth it. The movie's absolutely worth it, but the DVD is worth it. Spend the extra money, get the Blu-ray. We obviously talked about Game of Thrones. We did a full review last night. I will apologize ahead of time. It's an hour and 20 minutes ish, and
I dare you to find anybody else's review that's shorter. Everybody went over an hour.
Screen Junkies was an hour and 5 minutes. Collider was
an hour and 15. Yeah.
Emergency Awesome, I think, did 30 minutes, and they normally only do like 12 minutes, so they even went long. So a bunch of people, it was just hard not to talk about everything that happened in that episode. Our review is spoiler filled. We go from point A all the way to the end. But please, if you have watched the episode, we were just watching it before we came in here. It'll be the third time we've watched it. Please give it a watch. I will tag it to the end of this video, but please watch the episode first and then come back. Just telling you. We also did a Stardust reaction to it last night. Stardust is an app on your iOS or Google Play Store. You can download it for free, set up your account for free, and you can react to whatever you're watching. The fight from this weekend, Game of Thrones, Rick and Morty. They were doing a big push for Rick and Morty this week. Something we don't watch.
Go see a movie.
Go see a movie. Whatever it is that you want to see, you do little 30-second reactions and you tag everybody in it, and you can
share it with your friends.
Share it with your friends. That's what I'm trying to say. So please go download the app. Please set it up. Like I said, it's completely free, and like the Pop Culture Cult first, and then go like all your friends and all of our friends and all that kind of stuff. Speaking of our friends, the guys at Collider have started the Ultimate Schmoedown Team Tournament last week. They had 4 matches. This is our Schmoedown Match of the Week segment, but can't really call it the Match of the Week.
Multiple matches last week.
So they're doing 2 weeks of 4 matches a week. It's a 16-team tournament. If you don't know bracket style, just like the March Madness. If you don't know what the Schmoedown is movie trivia with a wrestling flair. And so they play their hip hip huzzah.
No, Rick.
Hip hip huzzah. Hip hip. Woo! Sorry, it's a different story.
You said Flair, Ric Flair.
Ric Flair, yeah.
Wrestler. Sorry.
Right off the rails. So they have wrestling intros, and they talk smack, pre-game and post-match and stuff like that. But the movie trivia itself is real. And they fight for belts and stuff like that. And so this tournament is to pick the #1 contender, and they will be at the Spectacular, which is like their big pay-per-view at the end of the year. So they have a team tournament, they have a singles tournament, and they'll have the Spectacular at the end of the year. So this week was the first 4 matches, and the first 4 matches were we had Team Truck versus Cinema Blend. Team Truck has Scott Mantz and Jason Edmond in it, and I don't care about Cinema Blend because Scott Mantz was on fire. Like, oh my God, I've never seen him play so well.
And Scott Mantz is from IGN?
Entertainment Weekly.
Entertainment Weekly.
I think it's Entertainment Weekly. There is guys from IGN. They're just not in the tournament this year.
Oh, okay.
They actually had to bow out, which is how a couple of the other teams one of the teams got in.
Okay.
Because IGN was in, and then they had to bow out. But Scott Mantz was on fire. He was just nailing everything.
Yeah.
They advanced pretty easily. That was on Tuesday. Wednesday, the match was Team Action. The young assholes. Boo! Boo! I've heard they're really nice guys until they're on the camera, and they're terrible assholes. They are great villains.
Yes.
So they play Deep Cuts, who are 2 of the guys who actually edit the Schmoedown matches for Collider.
Yeah.
And those 2 guys are really, really cool. Thad's really awesome. He's on a bunch. But Team Action kind of blew them out of the water.
Yeah, they did.
And that's scary because they've only really shown, like, the last few matches that Team Action's been in, they've actually spun the wheel. The second round, you spin a wheel, and whatever you land on is your category. And the last 2 times or last 3 times that Action has been on the show, they've gotten action adventure, and that's their wheelhouse.
Right.
They're called Team Action.
Right.
And so, but this time they actually got Spinner's Choice, and they took dramas.
Yeah, I think it was
dramas, and like, ooh, that's scary.
Yeah.
They nailed it. But they advanced. Thursday was 6 Degrees, Stacey Howard and Brittany Chandler. Brianne Chandler. She's much shorter than I thought she would be. Sorry. They do a podcast, and they do movies as therapy kind of thing, and 6 Degrees, how they get from one movie to the next, and that's how they get their name. And the two of them are awesome. They always come out in great costumes, and they have so much fun.
Yep.
But they play villains.
Yes.
They play heels.
Bad girls.
They played DC Movie News, Mike Kalinowski and Adam Gretler. The big one is Mike. Mike and Brienne have had a kind of thing going back and forth, and they actually had a match together. We've talked about it in the past. A couple weeks ago, Brienne came out as Harley Quinn, and Mike came out as Batman, and they were throwing pudding at each other. It was really bad.
Because he had missed that question
in the Inner Geekdom match.
The week earlier or whatever.
It was so awesome.
What does the Joker call, or what does Harley call her nickname for him?
For the Joker, yeah.
We're screaming at TV.
It was such a bad mess. Such a bad mess. Probably the worst mess in the whole league. But anyways, so they won in a second round knockout. They knocked out 6 Degrees. The girls. They
were not happy.
No. But the big match for us, at least here, was critically acclaimed William Bibbiani and Whitney Saibo, who were everybody's pick to win the whole thing.
Yep.
Bibbiani is he's got the highest percentage of correct answers. Whitney is some stupid savant on stuff. It was just they are amazing guys. They have just formed a team. They had one match as a warm up. They won in a runaway. So they were pretty much everybody's pick, and they went against Late to the Party. Our friends from Late to the Party, who live in Tucson, we live in Phoenix. They're right down the road. We've met them a bunch of times. Really awesome people. They're super fans. They react to each of the matches. They got invited into the tourney, and they're in, and they won.
It was like a football game here. We're watching and we're rooting them on, and in the back of my head I'm like, this would be crazy if they won, because they were such underdogs. No one expected them to win. They expected them to do a good showing, but they didn't expect them to win. And then it came down to the last question. I mean, it went all the way to the end, and they had to answer this question or they weren't going to win. And it was the 5-pointer, and the question was, what do they use in Demolition Man instead of toilet paper? And we're like, 3 shells, 3 shells, 3 shells. We're screaming it like they can hear us. They recorded it like weeks ago. Oh my God. We were
I'm all over Twitter tagging them and all like us screaming and yelling and stuff. It blew up everybody's bracket.
Yep.
Like I'm not kidding. Like, critically acclaimed was everybody's darling. They were going to win it, and they couldn't even get out of the first round. It just but Late to the Party, they move on to the next round. They've been really good about not talking on social media if they had won or lost or whatever.
Right.
I'm pretty sure they've already filmed their next match.
Oh.
So after the match, they put out a little 15-minute travel vlog of them going out there for the match, staying overnight, and everything else. And so, but really good for them. Go watch the Schmoedown. Please like all the videos. They're on YouTube. They're completely free. And Christian Harloff is the commissioner of the league. It's his baby, and he wants to keep everything free. And so, it's definitely worth it. The probably top 10's the favorite now, right? Or Wolves of Steel. I mean, top 10's had the belts before, and
we still have a whole. That's just the one side.
Yeah,
we still
I know.
have a whole
another side. So we'll see what happens.
I need to see how everybody does before I.
Yeah.
I'm not a pick 'em based on their record kind of, and my football fantasy team would always like beat his, because I'm like, oh yeah, I've heard that name on ESPN before. I'll pick them. I have no idea what they do. I also like to pick the underdog, so
we'll be doing a lot of that next week. And so in our last story, it came out last week that Stranger Things is picked up for a 3rd season already, which is awesome. Even though the 2nd season's not out until October 27th, which sucks, but because that's like a super busy time of the year for us, and so trying to binge that and get all of our stuff done is going to suck.
Yep.
But the Duffer Brothers did say that the season 4 would be the last season. So they're only going to do 4 seasons. As much as I love the show, I'm really happy they're doing that.
Yes, because we have always liked shows that have an end game, right? That,
Yeah.
I mean, as much as it sucks, and a lot of times it's because, the dollar signs, right? They're like, oh, we're going to milk this for all we can.
Walking Dead.
Yeah, and they had an end game and they blew it. But it's nice to just wrap the whole thing up and know that this is where we're going, and you're
Right.
gonna have some closure, and they're not gonna
Right.
cancel it out from underneath you with no
Resolution. No resolution of anything.
Sensate.
Right. Yeah. Oh God, don't get me going on that again.
So yes, I am. While I'm sad because I could just
Those kids are going to be just fine. They're all getting jobs as it is.
Oh yeah, but I selfishly I want Stranger Things in my life now forever,
Right.
just like I want Game of Thrones in my life forever.
Right.
But yeah, no, I'm.
That's the one thing I'm worried about with Arrow. Arrow, from the beginning, said they had a 5-year story arc, and now they're going into season 6.
Yeah. Yep.
And last season was so good. It was so good. So I'm scared for this season because now they're a little off the board. But in Berlanti, I trust. So they have a plan, right? But I'm really happy that it got. It's obvious it was going to get picked up, and just really for Stranger Things, and just hoping that it doesn't. I hope they have a plan, and it sounds like they have a plan if they're willing to stop it after 4 seasons.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
That's this week. Like I said, not a whole lot, but the stuff we wanted to talk about, we talked about. Tell us what you thought about the Joker stuff, and if you feel like they should be doing a Joker origin story. And tell us if you are watching the Schmoedown. Late to the party, you guys.
We're gonna put money on you in Vegas.
I'm telling you, I'm gonna find a sports book that's gonna take money. So please like this video. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please comment on this video and let us know. Maybe we missed something in the news this week that it slipped under the cracks or whatever. You can also get a hold of us on Facebook. We're at the Pop Culture Cult. We're PopCultureCult 1 on Instagram, and we're at Pop_Cult 1 on Twitter. Don't start laughing at me. I'm almost done. Stop it. We're also on the Stardust app. Please download it to your iOS or Google Play. From your iOS or Google Play Store. I'm good. Just stop looking at me. Stop looking at me. Download it. Set it up for free. React to it. But like the Pop Culture Cult first, and then go like all your friends, and then go like Late to the Party and Schmoes and Collider and Clark Wolf and all the stuff she's doing with it. Anyways, until no show next week, we will be in Vegas. So until
Happy Labor Day.
Happy Labor Day weekend, and in 2 weeks, good night now.